I know the camera's getting ready. Someone's going to be walking out here any second.
Evening. Thank you for joining us on short notice, especially on a Friday evening. Just to be clear, information comes to this office not at the most opportune times, so I apologize that we're here on a Friday evening, but this is something we're going to be speaking to that was brought to my attention just a short time ago. Earlier today, I was advised by the Maricopa County Attorney's Office that it is necessary to make changes to our current practice regarding courtesy holds for immigration violations on behalf of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The threat of litigation and prior court rulings addressing civil detention of immigration violations requires clarification of the role of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office in handling ICE detainees. Once our office is advised there is no further authority under state or federal law to detain an individual, we will notify ICE we are following our legal obligation to process the individual for release. The courtesy notification is consistent with the types of cooperative communication which exists between all law enforcement agencies here in Maricopa County. At the conclusion of processing, ICE will have the opportunity to take custody of the individual who is being released from our custody, consistent with state and federal law. We no longer have a legal authority to detain these individuals regardless of their immigration status. We are not removing ICE from our jails. We will continue to facilitate their opportunity to speak with every individual during the booking process who's being detained in our jails. ICE will have the opportunity to identify anyone they deem to be in violation of federal immigration laws. It will be the responsibility of ICE to take legal steps to facilitate any detention beyond that imposed by law. Any detention request must meet constitutional and legal requirements. We have and will continue to arrest individuals who break the law. We must also ensure that we are in compliance with the same laws for which we are empowered to enforce. This office is committed to providing disciplined, professional, and ethical law enforcement and detention practices. We are also committed to the safety of our community. Therefore, we will continue to work with our federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies to ensure we are all aggressively enforcing the laws. We do look forward to proactively identifying effective and legal methods to accomplish these responsibilities. I want to be very clear when I say we are going to continue to be aggressive in enforcing the laws to keep the public safe. And in doing so, as an organization, we will commit to all ethical practices. And when it is brought to my attention as the sheriff of this organization that there are practices that we must adjust in order to adhere and abide by these rules, we will do so immediately as we are today. Thank you.
Can you tell us in plainer language, please, what you're doing now with ICE detainees and what this threat of the lawsuit means for how you're going to handle them in the future?
Currently, ICE has the opportunity to process every individual, which they do. They commit to 100% of the detainees that go through our jails to identify those who are citizens or those who are citizens of other nations. They make the determination how to act on those actions. At the point when they are deemed to be released for their pending criminal implications, there have been courtesy holds in the past, which we are no longer going to be facilitating. So we will process individuals for release at the order of the court, and then ICE will have that opportunity once notified if they choose to continue to detain them in their own custody.
So these detainees, once they've fulfilled whatever their obligations are to the system, are you saying they might be released into the street?
Unless ICE has a court order or another legal document to detain them further, yes.
And ICE, in that situation, would have to detain them, not the sheriff's office?
Correct.
You would not at the request of ICE, hold those people anymore?
With a legal court document, we would, but under the current courtesy holds, we cannot.
So how would ICE find out that there was somebody that they might want in Maricopa County jails?
So they're already placed in our jails, and they'll get notification once we're advised by the courts that an individual has met the standard and been released by the court.
So again, some of these might be released into the street if ICE doesn't act fast enough through the courts.
It would be ICE's responsibility with considerable notification to act accordingly with their authority.
Where's the threat of a lawsuit coming from?
It would probably be best to have the county attorney's office speak to any legal elements to the counsel for
There was a
this.
lawsuit that was filed in December. Puente, I believe, was part of it. There was a woman who, Jacinta Gonzalez Goodman. Does it have anything to do with this lawsuit?
I can't speak to the lawsuits that were reviewed or how these considerations were made. I was advised of our need to make the adjustment to ensure that we're abiding by this appropriately, so I can't speak to those specific lawsuits or others because I don't have direct knowledge of the details.
Has your office been reached out to by anybody in the Trump administration as far as signing on to any more 287G agreements?
We have not. I spoke with ICE to advise them of our decision regarding this, but I haven't had any conversations with the Trump administration. None of these decisions today or this response has anything to do with current decisions or things that are factors in the administration in D.C.
Sheriff, do you have like a rough number on how many of these are you're processing in the course of a day, and how many are actually handed over to ICE, and how many will not be handled by ICE?
Well, ICE will have the opportunity to address and respond to everyone that's released that they deem is in violation of federal law and the immigration laws. That is their authority and their prerogative. We cannot act on those things as I described here tonight. So we'll continue to be a good partner to them and give them the information that they need so they can act on these issues, but it is their authority, which we do not have that authority, and those are things that not only were in the court orders, but we don't have the legal authority to enforce those federal laws.
Are you actually getting out of the immigration business and altogether?
We are in the public safety business, enforcing the Arizona revised statutes and laws of this state. We will continue to be a good partner to ICE to address issues related to immigration where it is appropriate, but we will also be law-abiding, Constitution-abiding, and abiding by the court orders for which we are currently under through the federal courts.
You said that you'll notify ICE and give them the opportunity to come get those individuals if they can get a court order. Who checks their immigration status, your department or ICE?
ICE.
And so does ICE check the immigration status of every person in your jail?
Every individual goes through the jail, they check.
So given the concern in the community about undocumented immigrants with convictions loose out there, should there be more concern given this decision?
Their concerns are my concerns and that of this office. We just have to make sure that we are abiding by the law and that we are applying our authority in a just manner. So we will continue to work for better ways to address these issues of safety. And as we identify those and work with our federal partners, we'll implement those. But again, the current process is one that had to be adjusted.
When did you inform ICE of this?
Just a little while ago.
Today.
Yes, sir.
When will this basically new policy take effect?
Immediately.
So how many people were you holding under this current?
I don't have the numbers, but I'm sure we can get those to you.
Is it a lot, like hundreds?
I don't have the numbers, but we'll get them to you.
And you were allowed to hold them for up to 48 hours, correct?
No, once the court deems that they are to be released for the pending charges that they have.
I understand, but before, they could be held for up to 48 hours for ICE.
As a courtesy, I don't know if it's 48 or 72 hours. Yeah, we'll have to get that information to get clarification.
But it's 0 hours now.
Detained beyond the point when the court says?
Yeah.
Correct. As soon as the court deems that we are to release him from custody, we have an obligation to release him from custody.
So basically, they're going to be treated like any other citizen here, right?
They will be held to the same standard of the law.
And so would ICE, if they were notified when this person is released, would ICE just be, standing outside the jail with open arms?
That's for ICE to determine. I have an obligation. I want to be as clear as I can. I have an obligation to ensure that this office acts constitutionally within the laws. Okay, I'm not done. Just a minute. We are currently addressing a considerable debt to this community of over $150 million due to civil rights violations of their challenges with the 2 court orders imposed on this office by the federal courts because of deficiencies from the past. This decision is based because this is my authority within the law, as is this office. We cannot act in a way that could put us in jeopardy to the detriment of our community. I am committed to the safety of the public. I am not in support of anyone in violation of the law having the freedom without being held accountable. At the same time, I must abide by those laws. So ICE will have to take a more aggressive position on how they're going to act on those who are in violation of federal law as we continue to enforce state law. It's as clear as I can be on this. This is not a situation where I have any other motivation than to be a sheriff who is constitutional, law-abiding, and aggressive on crime.
Can you describe one more time how it would work before? Like ICE would come to you and they would say, Sheriff, what? Please hold me.
That's not how ICE is in our jails. Every individual who comes to our jails has the opportunity. It's not the opportunity, but ICE identifies every individual, whether or not they are citizens of this nation or of another nation. Then they go through the process of whatever their pending charges may be. At the point when the courts advise us that we have a legal obligation to release them from our custody, ICE will get the notification if it's someone that they have an interest in either speaking to further or addressing through their authority. And as we take the process to release them from our custody, ICE will have the opportunity to impose their authority on that individual. We no longer have the authority.
So previously you held them for how long again?
That question was asked. I don't have the answer for it. He's going to get that information.
Okay. One more question and we're done.
Will you be facilitating that handoff, or will that be something, like she mentioned, where they have to stand literally outside the door to the jail and take custody?
I don't have the answers yet because obviously, as I told you, this just occurred now, so we're working through some logistics. When I spoke with ICE, we're going to look for ways